official podcast of Jacksonville Public Library.
I'm Hurley Winkler.
And I'm Jenna Hassel.
And who are you, sir?
I'm Producer Bryan.
Producer Bryan is up on the mic, making
mic.
his world premiere on Completely Booked.
World premiere.
World
It's a
premiere.
big day.
What's up, Producer Bryan?
Not much. We just sat down with my longtime friend Josh Cobb.
Josh Cobb.
Yeah, talking music and talking local music in his studio.
Your fave, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Josh Cobb is a producer extraordinaire. He owns a studio called Rockbot Studios. How did you first meet him?
I want to say like MySpace.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, or maybe like the early days of Facebook. I don't know. He just had a page up when we were looking for
You stalked him.
studios.
You
I
did.
didn't. It was my old friend Anthony Saccone. Shout out if you're listening, Anthony. I highly doubt it. But he found them, and I thought it was crazy that we were going to go stay with a stranger for 2 weeks in St. Augustine when we were all like 18 years old. But we did, and it worked out.
Hope your parents aren't listening.
And I've been using them ever since.
Nice.
That's so cool. And Bombshell, you had a screamo band?
I did.
Screamo band.
And my
Yes.
parents came to every show.
Really?
Of
Oh.
course.
And they pretended to like the music, I'm
Oh,
guessing?
yeah, they pretended. I don't know. Some of it wasn't bad.
But you didn't scream. You just did
No, I did play guitar and head bobbed.
the...
Were you jealous that you didn't get to scream?
Oh, yeah. Everyone that's not screaming in a screamo band's 100% jealous.
Yeah, I bet. What was the band called?
Call it Captive.
See, I like that name because
That's
it's
pretty
a
catchy.
command.
You can look it up on YouTube. It's still out there.
Call
Oh,
it Captive,
wow.
folks. Look it
There
up.
might even
YouTube.
be some live videos of us playing out there still.
Oh my gosh. Everyone go stalk Producer Bryan.
Do you guys still have a MySpace page?
I wonder. I don't know. I hope not.
So Josh Cobb produced this record that you guys made.
He
Okay.
produced it.
Nice,
Mhm.
nice. Well, we had a blast talking to Josh, and we want our listeners to know all the goodness that they can get from the library
Ooh,
if
let's
they
talk
are
library.
music lovers.
Yes.
So the library has a streaming service called Hoopla, and any library card holder can have access to it. We have how much music do we have on Hoopla? Like millions of albums?
We have a lot of albums.
Trillions of albums. Cannot confirm nor deny the trillions, but there's a lot of music available for streaming on Hoopla.
Yep. Best part is there's no holds, so you just stream whenever you want.
Yeah, you just get in there and stream it.
Yep.
Folks.
And surprisingly enough, you can still check out physical DVDs.
And CDs.
Yep, that's what I meant. CDs. They're so old, I can't remember what they're called.
What are they called? Something with
I
the
don't
D?
even know.
I don't remember.
It's a CD,
it's
not
like
a
a
DVD.
round thing that you put in a tray and it plays music.
Kids
It's
don't
crazy,
even.
kids.
Do kids know what those are?
Maybe, I don't know.
Whatever.
I had to explain what a copier machine, what a Xerox machine was to a teen the other day. So
It's frightening.
yeah, frightening times, folks.
Here's another cool thing we do at the library that I think, Brian, didn't you say you taught guitar lessons at the
I
library
did.
one time?
Yeah, I taught guitar lessons over at South Mandarin Library and at the Pablo Creek Library.
Oh my gosh. See, you guys didn't even know this. You can take ukulele lessons at the Makerspace, the main library, and guitar lessons. So come learn how to play uke.
And you don't need your own guitar either. They have them here.
Exactly. You can borrow ours. It's pretty sweet. And not only can you learn how to play guitar, but you can come and record guitar in the Jack's Makerspace.
Yes, you can. We have tons of recording equipment available for public use. So if you have some sick tracks you want to lay down, come to the Makerspace and do it there, or talk to our guy, Josh Cobb, owner and
Yes.
operator of Rockbot Studios.
Without further ado, here's Josh Cobb.
Josh Cobb, thank you so much for joining us on Completely Booked today. We're
Thanks for
excited to
having
have
me,
you.
Hurley.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So tell us how you originally ended up in the Jacksonville area.
Well, I grew up on a dairy farm, actually.
Wow.
Whoa, shocker on that,
That is
one.
not
Huh?
something you hear every
Dairy
day.
farm.
Where was
Yeah.
the dairy farm?
In northern New York. I
Okay.
don't want to say upstate because it was like north of Toronto, Canada. So like people don't understand like how far north New York can go. So we were up there.
I had no idea that New York went that far. Did you? I thought that was like Vermont.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
There's
it's
probably like
pretty
a little
close.
piece, I feel like.
Okay.
you-
Geography lessons on Completely Booked today.
yeah. Just look for the Adirondack Mountains and you'll find
very
my
nice.
Interesting.
homeland.
Home on the dairy farm.
Yeah. So then I moved to Palm Coast, Florida, when I was about 15, and then slowly been making my way up to the coast. And 7 years ago, I moved to Jacksonville.
Very nice. Now, how do you like it here?
I love it. It's great. There's like always things to do. It's always changing. I lived in St. Augustine for a while, and I liked it. But they just want to keep everything the same there. They don't want like anything new happening. And I feel like in Jacksonville, there's always something really cool and new and exciting going on.
Not
Definitely.
many cows though. I mean,
Yeah, that's
is that a
true.
hard adjustment for you to not see cows?
Are you going through
That's on
withdrawals?
purpose.
Yeah.
intentional?
That's on purpose.
Yeah. There are cows, the further out you get, you'll
Just-
see some cows around Jacks.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cows
Just-
about Jacks.
Just like,
Jack.
Hashtag cows about Jacks.
yeah.
So how long have you been playing music?
I've been playing music since I was 8. I got my
Wow.
first guitar when I was 8 years old. So that's, you do the math. I'm 32 now. So
Gotcha.
Wow.
a long time.
That is a very long time. Yeah. So guitar was kind of your gateway drug into
Yeah.
other music.
Yeah, I heard like Nirvana for the first time when I was a little kid, and I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah. What about it drew you toward music? What about Nirvana?
I think it was just like listening on headphones and being like, what is this world that lives in this audio? Like I didn't know, when you're a kid, you don't know something's recorded in a studio, or like this is like another world. And I just felt like an emotional attachment to like that weird world that was created in the record.
Nice. Well, speaking of studios, in addition to playing music, you also own and operate a recording studio here in Jacksonville called Rockbot Studios. How did the studio emerge?
The studio emerged from just recording in other studios with my bands growing up, and it sounding terrible and spending hundreds or thousands of dollars and being disappointed when I got home. So I was like, I'm just going to do this like for myself. And then my friends' bands heard the recordings and be like, oh, can you record my band? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. And then it turned into, I'll do it for like $30, and then built a business on that,
Nice. So did it take a lot of experimentation to learn how you wanted music to sound when you were recording it?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we would I think the first recording I ever made was like a computer microphone, and we would like put it in the bathroom to get like a reverb echo, or like sometimes it was like too bright, so we'd like put it in like a closet or something, and we'd sing through the closet door, because we were just trying to figure out like how to make it sound like the records we loved. And we didn't realize we just had bad equipment.
I guess good equipment does help.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you always wanted to be a business owner?
That's a good question. I just kind of honestly fell into it. I thought I would be a graphic designer at one point, which I guess would be your own business, doing freelance work. But I went to college for it, and I found out my color blindness was pretty limiting for like graphic design.
Yeah, it's not a
boy.
not a great profession if
Yeah.
you're colorblind.
We'd have to do like these color tests with paint and stuff. And my instructor, he was like, this is terrible. Like, this is not the same color. And I'm like, well, I'm colorblind. And he's like, oh, okay, I'll pass you, but I'm going to use you as an example of what not to do. So he
boy.
put mine up and me like, haha, look at Josh's stupid colors. And I was like, well, maybe I'll just make records now.
Yeah.
So for many of our music-loving listeners, the roles of producer and engineer may seem a little nebulous. What do producers and engineers do exactly?
I think a producer's role is really about arrangement and the song, and also managing a session. So making sure everybody's on the same page, and almost like a director of a movie. A lot of times people think like producer on a movie is like the person who funds it, has the money. But a producer on a record is somebody who takes more of a directorial role, and he just kind of manages the situation. The engineer's job is just to make everything sound good. I much prefer the producer side of it. But nowadays, you've kind of got to combine the two. And I like engineering. I like making people sound good. But like, to me, the gear is just kind of a way to make the record, not like something to geek out on. I care more about the songs and the arrangement and the vibe and the emotion of the record.
Right.
And I think that's more what the producer's job is.
So nowadays, is the producer and engineer sort of rolled together into one role?
I'd say like now more than ever. I mean, probably 90% of the records you hear is the producers engineering it, mixing it. So yeah, totally.
How often do you get people into your studio that are only looking for someone to engineer? Like they have their own vision for what they want it to be and they don't really want you to produce. Like, do you get people that are like that just want to come and use your equipment and make them sound good?
Yeah, for sure. And I've gotten a few more of those lately, and they're kind of fun to kind of take a back seat and just be like, you don't have control over this project. You just got to make it sound great. And it's actually been a really new experience for me because I've always taken on the producer role.
Right.
But yeah, and I enjoy doing that. I just did like a jazz trio, and they wanted no headphones. They tracked everything live in the room. We did a whole record in like 5 hours, and I was like, I usually spend like maybe 15 hours on one song.
Wow.
And they did like 10 songs in 5 hours. So it was like a really cool, exciting experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that like?
At first I was like, I need to control everything, because that's just kind of my producery vibe. But then listening back and just hearing like the tension of the room, like if you screw up, like that's it, like that's going to go on the record, And that was exciting to kind of hear that like air in the room. It's weird. It's like a different vibe and totally different emotion.
Right. So in the age of DIY recording we're in nowadays with different recording software you can use at home like Pro Tools or GarageBand and all of those, what are the perks of hiring a producer to record an album?
I think the perk would be to have somebody with an outside ear and an educated ear to be able to like break apart, your intro's like 2 minutes long before you even say anything. And that could be cool if you're doing like a progressive, like moody track or something. But if you're trying to make a pop tune, like you need to get to the vocals within 10 seconds or like someone's going to turn it off. And I think knowing what the artist wants, and oftentimes they don't know how to get there. Like they have the idea, but the producer's job is just to kind of make it happen.
Yeah.
I think having that outside opinion too would be super valuable. Just, if you're so invested in the project before you even get to the studio, having someone with an outside, maybe has more knowledge of how to make it sound the way they want would be worth it as well. Just to have that advice on how to do it correctly.
Yeah, for sure. And I know that like when my band made our first like record with a legit producer, we learned so much. We were like, oh my God, like you have to actually practice your instrument before you come into the studio. And the first day, actually, our drummer got sent home because he couldn't play to like a metronome. And so he's like, come back in 3 weeks and see where you're at. So that was the first lesson. And then, learning that, if you have a chorus, you might want to come back to that chorus so people can sing along to it. Or otherwise, it's just kind of like this progressive, weird song, which was not what we were trying to do. We were trying to like make pop songs, and we learned fast that we weren't making pop songs.
I guess that can happen, yeah. How did the name Rockbot come about for your studio?
That's a good question. I don't know. It just kind of popped into my head, like robot, rock and roll. I don't know. It's just like kind of popped in my head.
Nice. It's a catchy name.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. You're also in a band called Winter Wave. Tell us a little bit about that project.
So Winter Wave is just like a fun band to have with my friends from high school. We've been in bands together for, like 14 years now. And the project started with me trying to write, record, and mix a song in an hour. And I ended up doing like 4 or 5 songs like that. And I put them out online under just my name. And everyone's like, yeah, you should play those live. And I was like, okay. So I called up my friends and they were like, yeah, let's put a show together. And then it just kind of organically happened.
That's awesome.
How long have you guys been doing Winter Wave?
Like 4 or 5 years now. I'm terrible with years. Like, I was at dinner the other night. My wife was like, how long we've been married? And I was like, I don't know, 5 years, but it was 3. I totally screwed up.
Yeah, time flies.
Yeah.
Time flies. What is more fun to you, playing music or recording it?
Well, I'm fortunate enough to actually play on a lot of records that I produce. So in a way, I'm kind of like an extra band member when I'm making records. It doesn't always happen, I gotta like feel it out with the band if they're cool with it. Like if they're not cool with it, I'll be like, no problem. I'm not gonna go near your instrument. But it's really cool to kind of like be in 100 different bands all at once, as opposed to like just playing one kind of music.
Yeah, right. Did you get to be in the jazz trio?
No,
Oh, bummer.
that was very hands off, but it was a lot of fun.
That would have been cool. If you could produce any musician or band at Rockbot Studios, who would it be and why?
Well, do you guys have music projects you need?
For sure. We're starting our own jazz trio.
You guys have like the perfect setup in here. You got the microphones, you got Bryan, working the board over there. So.
Shout out to Producer Bryan,
Woo-hoo.
BT.
You guys played the song. It was really good. So I think you guys should start a band and come in the studio.
It would basically just be Bryan doing all the music and then him auto-tuning us so you can't tell it's us.
Right. And we'd be singing the Star Spangled Banner.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
our signature
It would be
song.
Sounds like
super
a hit.
experimental. Yeah. It's a pop song. It's the original pop song, It's a
sure.
crowd favorite. But no, what is your dream recording project? Who would you have in the studio and why?
I think my dream recording project would probably be working with other engineers and other producers, so I can learn. I love Steve Albini's work. He's kind of like a hands-off guy who it's kind of often the opposite of what I'm doing, and I just like that side of recording. Or somebody like Mutt Lang, who produced like AC/DC, and he's like a very hands-on producer. It'd be kind of cool to get in a room with like a bunch of different producers and like make a record, I think.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be a cool project.
I know,
You
huh?
should do it.
Why not?
Yeah. How do your own musical abilities impact your process as a producer and engineer? So the music you play, how does it come into your producing style?
Oh, for sure. Well, I just had a guy call me the other day, like looking to intern, and first question I asked was, do you play an instrument? And he said no, and I was like, well, I think that's the first thing you should do before anything, because if you're talking to musicians, you need to kind of speak the language. If they're saying, I don't know why this G chord's working, and you don't know how to pick up a piano or guitar and play that G chord, then like you're not going to be able to connect with the artist. So I think musicianship is super important for a producer or an engineer.
Right. How do you see your own like musical tastes coming into what you produce? It sounds like you produce a lot of different kinds of music. So does that get challenging when your tastes are a little more limited?
Yeah, I think it's good to have an open mind and just try to find something you like about the project. There's oftentimes I do a project and I'm like, oh, this isn't really my thing, but I'll find like a guitar part or a cool snare sample or something, and I'll be like, I like that, so let's work on that and let's expand on that.
So in the age of streaming, it can be hard for musicians to earn a living. How do you combat this challenge?
That's a really hard challenge now. Bands kind of have to get a little bit more business sense for sure now. Shows obviously are a big source of revenue and merchandise. The audio portion of it and the creative portion of it oftentimes is not the thing that's making you money, but it's kind of the driving force of the band. It's like you can't go out and play shows if you don't have songs on a record, or you can't sell a t-shirt if you don't have the songs to back it up. So it's kind of weird. Like the recording part is almost more of a marketing tool instead of like a revenue tool.
That's so interesting. Does that like cramp your creative style to know that like, oh, this is just so I can sell t-shirts? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's things like Patreon that I'm like a huge supporter of, because people can directly pay for the music. And if you're like streaming a band that you love, just go out and like spend the $5 and buy it on iTunes, because I've gotten my Spotify streams back and it's like 20 cents for,
Oh my gosh.
5 years of streaming.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Support your local artists, guys.
Definitely.
Jeez.
Definitely. On your website, we noticed that you have 2 assistant engineers at Rockbot Studios.
Very
Their
important.
names are Eli and Baby Cat. Do you often encounter creative differences with your feline collaborators?
Well, Eli, he's very social. He likes to talk. So he's like HR in the for sure. But
Gotcha.
he can snap back though. If like you pet him the wrong way, he's gonna be upset. Baby Cat, she's like the rogue. She's definitely the artist, the huntress, I call her. She brings all kinds of mice and things to the front door.
She's still like the bouncer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like the bouncer, but she's little. She's a baby cat, but
Aw.
she packs a punch.
Wow.
They both don't like loud music, so they're not very good at producing bands. But
They're learning though.
yeah,
They're
the
learning.
drums they're still working on that.
Oh, gotcha.
man, I could see that being
That can be scary.
for a cat.
Yeah, for a person, it can be scary, but
Seriously.
especially for a cat. Well, it sounds like you guys have a great synergy going on.
Oh, yeah, for
That's
sure.
very important in the studio. What's your relationship with the library like?
Well, we're fortunate enough to live right next to the Willowbranch Library, so I heard it was shut down for a year. Like we were really sad, and because they were talked about not even opening it back up, and
Right, yeah, they had a lot of renovations to go through a few years
Yeah.
ago, but they overcame them.
I don't have a printer, so that's like my main printer is the Willowbranch Library, so it's very important.
That's an important service
It
that
is.
we offer.
It's
Yes,
a huge
indeed.
service.
As a young business owner and as an artist, what value do you find in the public library?
I find a lot of value in the public library. I mean, things like this, what you guys are doing, it's super cool, and it's a good way to it's a good tool in the modern, world to have this discussion and talk to local Jacksonville people and just kind of create this culture bed of what's going on and how can we be better and who's cool and who's doing cool things. And
Absolutely.
Definitely.
That's all we do is talk to cool people.
Yeah.
Basically.
well, you
best
guys are the
job ever.
coolest, so
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Takes a cool person to talk to a cool person, I like to say. So we ask this at the end of all of our interviews. When you were a kid way back at the dairy farm, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Okay. I saw this question before I came in, and I was like, this was the one question that I was like, I don't know how I'm going to answer that. And then I remembered there was this marine artist named Christian Reese. And this guy looks like Fabio. He's like long blonde hair, and he's just the most ridiculous person. And I remember having a backpack with his art on it. It was these really extreme, there'd be 20 dolphins shooting over a moon or something. And I was like, I want to make that art when I was 6 years old.
I love where this is going.
That's
I
where
do too.
I thought I was
Yeah.
going to be Christian Reese, the
dolphin
marine dolphin artist.
Wow.
Did he make the folders and trapper keepers? I had so many of these.
I had those too.
Oh my goodness. And see, I wanted to be Lisa Frank, so I feel like we have a similar
Same.
thing going on.
Maybe he was he was the dude version of Lisa Frank.
I
or
think
something.
so. Yeah. Very mystical art.
Oh man.
Wow, that's very cool.
Still time. There's
Yes,
still time.
and you can create that mood in music, I think,
For sure.
of the 20 dolphins jumping from the flames of the sea.
Brian and I are going to work on that.
Good.
next.
Absolutely.
Good. Producer Bryan coming into
Yeah.
the studio.
This is
Rockbot Studios.
This is our favorite part about this interview is that you are friends with Producer Bryan.
Producer Bryan is famous.
And Producer Josh are BFFs. Brian has a band. I don't think we've said that yet.
We haven't talked about Bryan's band. Can you tell us a little bit about Bryan's band?
Brian's had many bands.
Okay,
The
well,
first
his
band,
current band
Oh, the current band
is The Proper.
the
yeah.
proper.
I know the name of it.
It's a proper name for a proper band.
It is.
So classy.
They're cool, indie rock dance band, great melodies, great pop songs. I like his band a lot. His first band was a screamo band.
What?
Really? Were you the screamer? Oh, they can't hear you. You don't have a mic. You're gonna have to cut this
He
part
said
out.
no. He was not
He
the
said
screamer.
no.
Yeah,
He was
his
not the
entire
screamer.
band stayed at my house while they made a record back 10 years ago. So
Wow.
we go way back.
Wow.
Did you call it a slumber party at the time?
No, it was just
A screamo slumber party?
yeah, screamo.
That's a great band name.
that sounds like a
Screamo
horror
Screamo
movie.
Party.
Screamo summer party. That's a 90s horror
Yeah.
film.
I can see
Yeah.
that. Girls in scrunchies getting attacked with knives.
Yeah. We're definitely including this part.
Please do.
Well, Josh Cobb, thank you so much for joining us on
Thanks for
Completely
having
Booked
me.
today. It's been a blast.
Brian, this is the first interview guest that we've had that you set up for us.
This
So
first time I produced a segment as producer.
exactly. What was it like talking about what your favorite thing? I mean, what was it like talking with your friend about your favorite thing?
Josh is just a really good producer. He doesn't mess around. Anyone who's in a band right now or just trying to make it as a musician, it always helps to go to a producer. So I just really respect what he does. So I wanted to bring him in and let people know what he's doing.
So you would recommend that people that are doing music now get their tracks like professionally produced for sure.
Even if you're recording your own stuff, it always helps to send it to someone else to mix, just because, like Josh says, different ears, different perspectives. It could totally change a song just by sending them your stuff that you've already done yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you think makes a good producer?
Someone who can fit themselves in to a different band every day, because you never know. He has, like he said, a jazz band in one day, a rock band the next day. He has a rapper in, and he has to put different shoes on, different hats on for every person that comes in. And you just have to kind of mold yourself into the mindset of what these people want to produce their product for them. Because even if you don't think it's the best overall song, you have to make your client happy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. That would be pretty hard. Like, not everyone has the same interest and taste. So being behind the mixer board, is that still a thing?
Is that what it's called?
It's just a computer.
Oh, just the computer. I was trying to be cool. It didn't work.
The thing with all the knobs and
Yeah.
things, they don't do that anymore?
I mean, like in
it
a
like
really
old
high,
school?
no, like a really high-end studio will have one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But anyways, it would be hard to deal with so many different things and still have to kind of stay unbiased and just, it's not whether or not you like it. It's whether or not the artist likes it. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Have you had the chance to meet Josh's assistant engineers, Eli and Baby Cat?
Oh, many times.
Many times?
Many times. Yeah, me and Eli comes straight up to you and he'll just lick away all day. He just licks your legs all day.
I love a cat that acts like a dog.
That is
That's like
cute.
my favorite thing. But dogs that act like cats, not so much.
Oh yeah, Eli will just jump right into your lap.
Love that.
That's so
He's
cute.
friendly.
So cute.
Yeah.
And he's definitely appeared on many vocal takes,
Oh yeah, he said that he
Oh,
gets pretty loud.
meowing away back there.
Meow mix.
Oh, come on. If you're interested in learning more about what Josh does at Rockbot Studios, you can visit his website, rockbotstudios.com, and you can follow him on Instagram, Facebook, and SoundCloud at Rockbot Studios.
If you find him in the Willowbranch Library struggling at the printer, make sure you guys give him a hand.
Yeah, give him a hand. He's a good man. Make sure you subscribe to Completely Booked and rate and review us on iTunes and everywhere else you get your podcasts.
Yup. And you can find all this information at jackspubliclibrary.org/podcast.
This podcast is produced by
Me, Brian Thomas,
AKA
BT.
AKA
Producer Bryan.
Goodbye.
Welcome to
One at a time, guys. You guys fall apart without a producer.